My main bush knife, Cold Steel Recon Scout. I'm really fond of Bowies. I think they do a vast variety of tasks very well. They're very good for hacking. You can do fine work with them. They're good for fighting. They work pretty well on the reverse grip, even for pull cuts, and of course stabbing, slicing. So this is the knife I use most of the time when I go out into the bush, and I want to modify the sheath a little bit, so I'm going to walk you through what I've done with mine. First modification I did was the sheath that comes with it. Normally has an attachment that's nylon, probably a Cordura thing, and it's not terribly great. It didn't move well with you. Being a drop sheath, when you're moving your legs, the sheath has to move with you. So what I've done is I have put in a belt attachment that drops down with a pivot point, so that as the leg moves, the sheath pivots with it. And this really makes it much more comfortable. I like this position. It's easy to get the knife. It's easy to put the knife away. I think knives should be easy to get in and out. Use it, whatever you need to do, put it back without looking with one hand. So let's take a little closer look at this sheath and what I plan on doing. Okay, this is a little closer look at the Recon Scout and its sheath. Let's take a look at the sheath itself and that pivot point. Basically what I've done is taken two pieces of Kydex, and the first one I formed using some heat to contour to the sheath, and it is mounted with two screws. And then I made another piece of Kydex formed around the belt I carry. I wear a 2-inch very heavy leather belt, and then just a simple Chicago screw pivot point. And this gives me a lot of flexibility. It makes the sheath much more comfortable to wear. Now the modification I'm planning on doing today is going to be the addition of a tin to the sheath. So I'm going to make a piece of Kydex that will be kind of a holster attachment for this. I'm using a Sucrets box. Why a Sucrets box? Because that's all I have. I don't happen to have an Altoids tin can. Sucrets is a little bit deeper than the Altoids can. But that's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. What I'm going to need in addition is a piece of Kydex. And this stuff is about $5 a square foot. This is the 060 size. And I'm going to use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel to cut it. And then I have some Chicago screws to mount the two together. I've determined that I need a little over 4 inches by a little over 6 inches. So I'm going to measure this out at 4.5 by 6.5. So I'm just going to scribe a line, use a speed square. Kydex is just amazingly easy to work with. Alright, so that's what we need. Well, the first bend is in about 1 inch. We'll start heating it up. Keep moving the heat gun so you don't melt it. You can melt Kydex, and that's not pretty. You can see it's starting to get pretty sloppy here. Pretty pliable, and what I'm just going to use is my speed square. We'll use that to make our first bend. Okay, you can kind of see what's going on here. We got the first bend. More curve in here than I want. That'll come out in a minute when I heat it back up. And then we're going to just bend and come over the Sucrets can. I generally just use flat things as I find them to help mold. Okay, I've gone ahead and made the rest of the bends, and you can see I now have a tube that contains the Sucrets box. Now, at the bottom, I've got this opening. What I'm going to have to do is put slots here, and then I'll bend these in. I'm planning on putting a hole fairly good size here so that I can poke my finger up in to pop the Sucrets box out. Okay, I've put slots here on these corners. I'm going to bend the sides in, and I'll bend the top down. Okay, I've got the bottom folded in and cleaned up. I had to do a little trimming, and you can see that the Sucrets box fits in there very nicely. The problem is getting it back out, so I'm going to take a 3/4 inch drill bit, pop a hole here, and then we'll be able to push the Sucrets box back out. Okay, I've popped the hole in the bottom of that, so now the Sucrets box goes in and it comes back out. Now onto the back side, I need to attach this. It's still loose, and I need to trim this down a little bit. I want it to be a little bit closer to this. There'll be a little trimming here also. What I'm going to have to do is drill for these holes, and then I can put those Chicago screws in, and we'll be very close to finished. Okay, I got the first screw in place, and that'll kind of anchor everything and make it easier for me to drill the remaining 3 holes. And I found reaching all the way in there and trying to hold this was a exercise in futility, so I've taken my 6-inch steel ruler and put a little piece of doubled up tape, put the screw stud on there, and we can reach in, hold it in place, and put the other screw in. Alright, now that I've got the screws in place, I'm going to trim this part off, which I don't need. Okay, we're basically done at this point. The only last thing I want to do is I want to bend these in just slightly to give me a little bit of retention against the box. It's in there pretty snug, but a little extra won't hurt. And this is vital emergency equipment, so we certainly don't want to reach for it and find that it's fallen out on the trail somewhere. Well, there's the final product. Back on the sheath, back on the belt. Knife is still handy, and I have emergency supplies here. What's in the box? That'll be another video.